Yesterday, a new Death Stranding trailer dropped that was just under 8 minutes, and it was absolutely amazing. I'm going to have it playing in the background of this video, so enjoy it if you haven't seen it yet. Although I would highly suggest you watch it yourself so you can hear everything that's going on, because I think this is the most insight we've gotten so far into the story and the plot of Death Stranding, and it's pretty clear when watching the entirety of this trailer that things are not exactly what they seem, and there's definitely going to be some major plot twists within this game that I am really looking forward to discovering and finding out. I think that is one of the biggest allures of Death Stranding, is the fact that it just is shrouded in so much mystery, and there's so much you want to learn about it and so much you want to discover. To me, that's one of the most exciting things about Death Stranding. But tomorrow, the review embargo is going to be lifted, and it's going to be a very interesting day, to say the least, when it comes to this game. I think Death Stranding is going to prove a lot of people wrong. Now, I am very much aware of the fact that this video could age really, really poorly over the next 48 hours. I've went on record saying that I believe Death Stranding is going to get a 93 on Metacritic. I do think that it will end up winning Game of the Year 2019. Now, when it comes to Game of the Year, we won't know about that until the time comes, until we're watching the Game Awards in December. But when it comes to the Metacritic score, we are going to find that out tomorrow. We're going to see what reviewers think of this game, whether or not they loved it, or they couldn't stand it, or they're somewhere in between. And frankly, based off of everything I've seen so far, and even basing my thoughts here off of what some reviewers have had to say, maybe slipping up a little bit over the past week or two, I think critics love this game. I think we're going to find out that this game is a masterpiece and that there's something truly special here. I've been saying this for a while. I think that when it comes to a game like Death Stranding, anybody who's really backing this game up, it seems as though we're practicing a little bit of blind faith here, because it's something so different and so new and so clearly nuanced. It's definitely not going to be for everybody, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad game. A good game doesn't necessarily have to be a game that is for everybody. That's not necessarily how it has to work. When it comes to Death Stranding, the biggest thing about this game, well, there's two, but I'd say the biggest thing that has been holding it back in terms of people being skeptical or people even being negative and down on it is the gameplay, which is totally understandable, because the gameplay, it's going to be a make or break situation. To me, it seems like the gameplay is going to be so nuanced, so methodical, so deliberate, and so slow paced that it's going to have to be something you experience for yourself. But I have a very good feeling that for anybody who does take the time to learn how to play this game and really understand the flow of it, it's going to end up feeling incredibly satisfying. We have to understand there is a reason why Sony handed out these review codes for Death Stranding so early and are giving reviewers plenty of time to really dig in deep with this game, because it's clearly a game that's going to take a while to really get an understanding for and really get a feel for, I should say. But I am 100% confident that come tomorrow, Death Stranding is going to blow people away. I think people are going to be very much surprised at the reviews this game gets. That's what I'm hoping for. Am I 100% confident in that? I don't want to say 100%, because at that point I would make it sound like I can predict the future, and I'm not trying to do that. But as somebody, and as most of you know, as somebody who is a big fan of Hideo Kojima's work with the Metal Gear Solid series, I am fairly confident, or very confident, I should say, that when it comes to not just the story of Death Stranding, I think that this latest trailer we've seen, it makes it very clear that this story is going to be very deep, and there's going to be a lot of interesting turns it takes that are just going to be mind-blowing. I mean, that's what Kojima is known for with the Metal Gear Solid series, is just the intricate story that's woven, the characters, the plot points, the twists, the turns, and everything in between. But I also think that people are going to be maybe somewhat surprised at just how engaging and satisfying this gameplay in Death Stranding is going to be. This is, I think, the area where when we talk about reviews and hearing what reviewers have to say about their time with Death Stranding, we know it's not a short game. We know that reviewers are probably going to have to put anywhere between 30 and 50 hours into this game to complete it. It's going to be really interesting to see what they have to say about the actual gameplay itself, the moment-to-moment gameplay after spending 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours with this game. Does it leave you feeling satisfied? I think the answer to that is going to be yes. I think that it's going to be made very clear come tomorrow that this is a masterpiece game, that there's nothing like it, that we haven't seen anything like it, and that Kojima really has this just incredible talent. You know, I mean, anybody who has, I think it was Norman Reedus most recently who was talking about his experience working with him, and he just can't help but call the guy a genius and claiming that his mind just functions on a different level. And it's going to be so interesting because a lot of people, I think, look at Death Stranding and they think this is just crazy, this is insane, it doesn't make any sense. But when you really look into it, you start to realize that it's really not, actually, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff here that does make sense once you start to try to put the pieces together. I've been watching a lot of theory videos, watching a lot of people breaking this down much better than I ever could, and really just trying to, myself, get a better understanding of what Death Stranding is. And once you start listening to these things and you start piecing them together, you realize, oh, okay, this is going to be really, really interesting. And so the idea that Death Stranding is going to end up proving a lot of people wrong, I believe that to be the truth. I really do. I could be completely wrong. Come tomorrow, we could find out this game is in the low 70s, or even if it's in the low 80s. That doesn't mean it's a bad game or anything, but I think it would be safe to say that it didn't necessarily prove everybody wrong. I think that there's a lot of people who would find it hard to believe that a game like Death Stranding could end up being the next masterpiece game. It could end up being a game that gets 90s on Metacritic, or not, so in the high 90s or mid 90s. I know that there's a lot of people who are just as confident as I am. There's a lot of people who are just as excited as I am. But I think it's worth noting here that I did make a similar video to this, if not a video pretty much identical to this one, for Days Gone. And we know how that aged. It didn't age very well because I put that video out before the reviews of Days Gone came out. And while I wasn't trying to make it sound like it was going to be Game of the Year, some people put words in my mouth. They thought that I said Days Gone was going to be Game of the Year when I never said that. I said I don't think it will be Game of the Year. It doesn't necessarily look like it's Game of the Year material, but it looks like a very, very good game, a very high quality game. And then the reviews came out for it, and clearly it made me look like I didn't know what I was talking about. But then we saw the whole fiasco that happened where reviewers apparently got an earlier build of the game that was very buggy, and then once the game was patched, people found out that they were enjoying it much more, and you look at the user score, and it basically ended up being like an 8.5 out of 10, something like that. And so I don't think I was completely off the mark when it comes to Days Gone. I think that the situation was just ended up playing out a little bit differently than we expected. But when it comes to Death Stranding, I do not anticipate the same thing happening. I feel much more confident, if I'm being honest, in saying that Death Stranding, I think, is going to be an amazing game, a top-tier game, a game that can sit up there with the best of them, if I'm being honest. I really truly believe that. It's not so much like fanboying here, right? I'm not fanboying because it's like, oh, it's releasing on PlayStation, so because of that, I want it to do the best it could do. Well, I mean, of course I want any game that I'm looking forward to do well, but it's really just because it's with a game like Days Gone, and I guess this is the best comparison I can make, I didn't necessarily feel like, okay, there's something truly next level special here. It didn't necessarily feel like that. What it felt like to me is like, oh, this is a team trying to prove themselves by making a great, high-quality AAA game. And that's how I ended up feeling when playing it. This definitely has so much potential. It's a really fun game. It's a really satisfying game in most areas. Has a ton of potential. With Death Stranding, I'm genuinely, especially after watching this latest trailer, I'm expecting to have my mind completely blown. The last thing I want to say and to end this video is, when I played the Metal Gear Solid games, I was much younger when I did, obviously, but when I did, I'll never forget the feeling I was left with when I completed these games, when the credits were rolling. I was mesmerized. I couldn't believe what I just experienced, and that's as honest as I can be. I'm not trying to exaggerate that. It was one of those rare moments where I'm sure if you think about it right now, everybody's had those moments in gaming or even in movies or books or anything like that where you just finish something and you're just like, oh my God, like that was one of the best things I've ever experienced. Like, I'm just so blown away right now. I am fully anticipating to have that same exact feeling when I finish Death Stranding. And because I have that feeling with this game based off of what I've seen, and because I know who's making this game, I feel 100% confident in saying that Death Stranding, come tomorrow, is going to prove a lot of people wrong, and it's going to validate a lot of people who've been supporting this game from the start, or have been really cheering this game on ever since we really started seeing the marketing for it ramp up a little bit, and people who believe in it, people who've watched the gameplay and realize, I'm sure there's something special here. It's not going to be for everybody. I'm not saying it needs to be, but I do think it's going to prove a lot of people wrong come tomorrow. Again, I know I could be completely wrong. Come tomorrow, I could very much eat my words, and it could be a very disappointing day, or it could be an amazing day. Not necessarily that I'm going to let a review score or a Metacritic score determine my excitement, but there's no doubt that it would really make me feel good if this game ends up being, in the eyes of reviewers, the exact thing that I thought it was going to be, and that is a masterpiece that blows us away. If it doesn't, it's not going to deter my excitement for it. I'm still going to very much be looking forward to Death Stranding, but it will be interesting to see if Death Stranding can end up sitting up there with the best of them, with the games like Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 4, and even 5. We'll see if Death Stranding can pull that off. Something tells me it can. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I wanted to put this last kind of like hype video out there for Death Stranding before the reviews drop, because starting tomorrow, we're going to obviously have a lot of conversations going on about this game and about the Metacritic scores and what reviewers are saying, and it's going to be a very interesting time. So leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you agree with me when I say that Death Stranding is going to end up proving a lot of people wrong, and it's going to blow people away, and that the hype for this game is real and it's on another level? Or do you disagree with me? And if you do disagree with me, let me know why. I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or agree with what I have to say here. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.